Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
I'm Eric.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Greg.
And this is Whitetail Bums. Welcome back to Whitetail Bums, everyone. This is your favorite series on the Element channel.
It's better than the main one.
Yeah, it's way better than Tyler K.C., you know?
I'm Eric. We got Michael and Greg here in the Whitetail Palace right now.
Wow, dude. Whitetail Palace with all these dead deer in here, dude.
We're on a little bit of a break right now. We've just been traveling around a ton, but you guys have one more trip ahead of you before we hit the holidays.
Yeah, dude. We're going to the land where you can only take steps on rocks.
Yeah, South Texas is not very good for spot and stalk.
No, it is
pretty loud.
Dude, it's probably the hardest place I've filmed at. That New Mexico mule deer hunt we went on was a pretty tough place, but that was more because like keeping up with batteries and having to use the sun a lot is not.
Yeah, while you're camping is not easy.
And you're at 10,000 feet where storms just seem to start every single day. I mean, every day. We'd have like about 2 o'clock, it would rain every day.
Not to mention there's every kind of needle in that country that'll find you.
Oh, yeah. Dude, there's stuff I've never even dreamed of. What is it? Jumping cholla?
Yeah. I've heard it called dog cholla.
Dog cholla.
But that stuff, man, it looks like grass when you're walking.
It is
through
the worst.
And apparently there's monkeys down there too, right?
That's what Mark Kenyon likes to say.
Yeah, Mark Kenyon thinks
sure.
there's monkeys down there. So.
Dude, I never saw really what he was talking about. But I'm pretty sure it's a porcupine. Are there porcupines down there?
Maybe.
I definitely didn't see monkey. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what he saw. But
if you haven't watched it yet, Greg has a hunt on the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
right
there's a new video out. And the Tyler and K.C. let me hunt for a little bit and got to take advantage of it.
So, dude, you absolutely smoked that deer.
Dude,
absolutely smoked it.
I thought I shot a little low because like I'm used to shooting a really slow bow, and like the shot was like 15 yards, and so like with a slower bow, like at 15 yards you're gonna be shooting a little high with your 20 yard pin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and with that bow, it's like it shoots flat.
Yeah,
like
I remember
25
in South Dakota, me and KC set up in a spot where like the shots were at 5 yards, 10 yards, and then 50 yards. And I remember asking KC, I was like, at 10 yards, like, how low do I need to aim? And he was like, dude, don't even worry. Like, with these bows, you do not need to worry about it that much. Just as long as just put your pin where it needs to go. And
top pin city.
Yeah.
Well, we were just on a trip with JP France of the Houston Astros and Leigh McNasty, who is a freaking funny dude.
That dude is ridiculous.
He, like, everybody says this when they meet somebody from the internet. It's like, they're the exact same human as they are on Instagram. He's pretty much the exact same human.
He's that times 10.
Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of overboard how, like, He's just being himself in those videos.
Yeah,
It's not even like he's acting in some of those skits.
And it's all day long. He does not stop. He
As
is
soon as
constantly.
Dude, the first day,
so funny.
he got there while, we went to bed 45 minutes before he got there. So we didn't really meet him. He just walked into the house past me and Greg, who were bumming it. And so we didn't really meet him. And then the first morning, I, went out to the garage to change, and he was in the kitchen when I came back. And he was just making jokes.
Right away.
It's like, dude, we don't even know each other right now.
And then
ridiculous.
we had JP, who I can't remember. He started following me, or I followed him, and we I realized he was using cruiser saddles, and he was shooting vector arrows at the time, and so we kind of started broing it out and messaging each other. And he was in the minors at this time, and this past year he got called up to the Astros and pitched in the World Series this year, and we got to bring him along.
Didn't he absolutely just annihilate the Cardinals this year?
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
He's one of the Astros' best pitchers this year.
Yeah, for sure. So we brought him along with us, and that was a lot of fun. Hopefully,
You don't really know what to expect, I feel like. I've been hunted with many baseball players, actually only one, but I feel like I wasn't expecting JP to be as
passionate
passionate as he was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it
was.
both of them were diehard hunters.
Yeah.
They love hunting. Mm-hmm. That was really
Crazy.
cool.
JP had 2 bows, and he had every gizmo you could have for that bow. It was it was awesome to
So
see.
He's decked
JP
out.
shot a turkey when I was with him, and that bow was just silent.
Yeah, dude, we were shooting out in the yard, and he would shoot, and it'd be the arrow hitting the target would be louder than the bow.
Man,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Shout out, Matthews.
you got to do some hunting though while we're there.
I sure did, dude. I wasn't even really KC was like, "You want to do some hunting?" When we were leaving, he was like, "You have your bow?" I was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll hunt." And when I'm a camera guy. At the end of the day, I love hunting, and I would love to hunt all the time. But the job is to be a camera guy.
That's right.
Yep.
And so I wasn't really expecting to hunt. And then the second day, they were like, "You want to hunt?" I was like, "I'm not gonna say no to that." So I was pretty much third on the totem pole, though, because obviously we wanted the 2 guys who don't get to hunt as much to shoot the deer. And so I was pretty much just making any spot I could work with the wind. And, the first couple of days didn't go too well. I was hunting the same spot and kept getting messed up by pretty much the same thing, just on opposite. The thermals rising would get me, and then the thermals sinking would get me.
I feel like the winds were being tricky everywhere.
Yeah, especially up there where you were.
It's really tricky there because I don't know if you know where it is, but it is
I don't think I
literally
do.
in a bowl. It's in a bowl, and then a pond comes in from the south side. So thermals are weird in that place.
Yeah, the deer are going to take advantage of thermals going in there every single time. It's pretty
It
tough.
was pretty much every time the sun would get up, the sun would come over the hills, and it would start heating up the little valley. It's not really a valley, but the little valley. And as soon as the sun would get up and that start happening, you would start smelling the pond. No matter what wind it was, you'd start smelling the pond, and then a deer would blow.
Yep.
But
So
you did have some success.
I did. That happened.
Hold up. Yeah, never mind. Keep going.
That happened on a overcast day. So the deer couldn't really take advantage of a rising thermal because it wasn't heating up nearly as fast as it needed to make the thermal rise up the draw.
Yep.
So I was sitting there, and I'm telling you what, dude, I was really trying to stay off my phone, but some of those mornings were just real slow. So I was sitting there. I wasn't on my phone, but I was just daydreaming, just staring out into space, and I just see a doe head just hop over a fence. And I'm
slick head.
I'm it wakes me up out of the daydream, and I'm like, oh no, it's about to go down because she's coming from a weird, just ran over a highway and is walking down a ridge straight at the feeder and where I'm at, and I'm like, oh well, there's no way they're gonna smell me. And then I see 4 more heads pop over the hill. So I'm sitting there, and I'm self-filming, so I'm getting the camera set up. I got a little bit of footage up where they are, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to just frame up where I think they're going to end up, because when you're self-filming and it's on the ground and there's 6 pairs of eyes, you kind of know you're not going to be able to get away with much.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
I'm eye level pretty much where I am, set up. It is a pretty good little hole, like cover wise, but I'm eye level, so I'm like, man, I'm not going to be able to get away with much. And the first thing that steps in is just this giant square body doe. And I'm like, oh, please. But she like walks straight at me. And I'm like, I'm not taking a 27. Like the feeder's at 27. I'm not taking a 27-yard frontal at this point in the season and on a doe. Like it's just not worth it. I'll just wait for my shot. And out of nowhere, just freaks out. Just runs away, never see her again. And I'm like, okay, well, next doe that pops in is getting shot. Because I see a forky coming down the hill. I'm like, I don't want to shoot a small buck. And so he jumps in, starts feeding around, and I'm like, okay. And then a doe just pops out of nowhere, just right over the hill, comes in, and I'm like, that's the one. She's getting it. She is getting shot right now. So she walks in, and she's perfectly broadside, and I go to draw. I draw my bow, and it hits a twig and just snaps it. Because it's just like this like little, I don't even know what type of bush, just the tiniest little bush right in front of me, and it just snaps the twig off when I draw, and she looks right at me, but doesn't really care. Goes back to feeding.
Wow.
And like kind of, I'm telling you, the hole I was in was real good. If I didn't snap that, would have had no idea.
Nice.
But so that happens, and I'm at full draw at this point, and they put their heads back down, but she's still kind of quarter in two, but the shoulder's like back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't shoot there. So I'm literally just sitting there full draw, just holding it at the angle that I can hold it at. And finally she opens that shoulder up, and it's still a quarter two, but I squeeze it like I can fit it in there.
Yeah.
And I shoot, and it hits her. I think it hits her pretty good, but it's not a full pass through. Like there's a good amount of arrow still hanging out the other side. So I call Tyler. I'm like, I think I heard chest cavity pop. I think she's gonna be dead right up there on the hill, because I saw her run up on the hill and like just stop, and then I was about to shoot another deer. I got another arrow on and just didn't look back up there. Mm-hmm. But all that to say, she was absolutely toast. Like I looked at the footage, and I called Tyler back. I was like, she's done. Like, she's gonna be up there on the hill dead.
Yeah, you smoked her.
Yeah. And so I wait for Tyler, and as he's coming in, he absolutely is just wanting to shoot quail so bad. He asked me, he's like, dude, I could tell he felt bad. I was like, dude, Can I just go jump these quail over here? Like, can I just go walk this out and try to jump a quail? And I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure she's either dead up there or she went across the road. So those are the two options we have. Just go jump some quail. So as he's coming down, shoots a quail, missed a couple, but they're going out low and fast. So it's whatever. But we walk up on it, and it's not a doe. Actually.
Oh no.
As soon as I walk up on it, it is a nubbin buck, and immediately felt horrible.
Well, sounds like you have another nickname.
Yeah, it's no longer Spike. That's not good.
It's a downgrade from Spike, dude. Spike, Mike.
Dude, I was so happy that I just smoked this deer and then walk up on it and just immediately realize, nope, Michael, you're still an idiot. At the end of the day, man, like you made a good shot this time,
dude.
But
First element kills, so congrats.
Yeah.
Shooting deer is fun.
It is fun.
I don't care what it is.
We got some meat we got to cut up, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, so today's podcast, this is something we're going to do a lot next year, but we're going to start one with this year.
Introduce it this year.
Yeah, so you guys probably remember Tyler and K.C. used to do big buck breakdowns, and we're essentially going to be doing that again on the Whitetail Bums series, or whatever you want to call it.
Honorary bum is going to be joining us.
That's what we're going to start calling it.
Dude,
so my buddy Chris Carter from back home in Illinois.
I thought his name was Carter.
Chris Carter is his last name, so we call him Carter.
You just call him Carter, though.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's just
That's
something
weird.
we've always done.
Two first name man.
But me and Chris go way back. We worked at a furniture store in 2010 or 11.
Do you have any commercials from the furniture store?
Not like KC. But
Yeah, if y'all haven't seen it,
we need to figure out.
we gotta put that somewhere.
Today would be a good day to post that. Like, make a reel of it and post it.
Dude, let's do it. All right, let's do it after this. So someone will make a reel. But me and Chris worked at a furniture store, and that's when I started getting interested in hunting. And he had been hunting most of his life, and he's from Georgia but moved to Illinois, and we used to geek out every day about hunting, and he's taught me a lot. But
He also bailed us out on a turkey trip last year.
he did.
Because I broke a very expensive mic handle.
And he just so happened to have a mic for us to
Dude, we
use.
could not find a mic within like 60 miles of where we were hunting. And he drove to a Walmart and gave us one of the mics you guys used to use on your old YouTube channel.
That's right. But
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, the deer guys, go check it out. But Carter, like I said, he's taught me a lot, and he has a pretty cool story about a buck he just shot with a muzzleloader, and so.
Oh, muzzleloader! I know nothing about what we're about to talk about, so this is going to be story time to the max.
It's a really good story, so we're take a break and get him on real quick. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls. I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like them. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
All right, I got my buddy Chris Carter on the phone now.
Dang,
What's up, dude? What have you been up to?
Not much, man. Just hunting some Illinois public and a couple times going down to the farm, which you're familiar with.
Yes, sir. Dude, I was telling everyone how we go way back and started like 2010 or 11. We were working at a furniture store, and we used to geek out almost every day about deer hunting.
Yeah, no, those were good times, and both of us have definitely come a long way since those times.
Yeah,
What
dude.
do you guys think is your favorite piece of furniture as the professionals here?
Man.
Do you remember that old sectional that used to be like 700 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
That we would have that one we'd have to move like every 2 or 3 months from upstairs
Because no one would buy
on
it.
this on this old rickety handmade elevator. That was a good one.
The old heavy sectional.
Dude, those were some good days.
What was the best seller?
Yeah, what was the best
They
seller?
sold a lot of mattresses. I feel like mattresses all over, really. But like, it was a small place in Illinois, and like they would sell to places in like California. It seemed like, right? That was the furthest they went.
Yeah, Chicago, a lot. People would come down because of the brands they carry.
Yeah.
And
Golly.
I mean, you drive by it and you would think the place is going to be like condemned. I mean, it was made out of old like grain bin metal.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
It was wild.
Yeah,
But those
you
were
can see daylight through some of the walls.
that's right.
That's
I
where
forgot
I'd be
about
buying
that.
my sectional for sure.
But yeah, dude, that's where like the whitetail bum life really started. I feel
where,
like
that's where the vision.
that's it.
You said 2010?
Yeah, I think so, right? It was
Dude.
around that time. 2010,
Yeah,
2011.
it had to be because I think I got married in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was 2010.
I wasn't even out of elementary school yet.
So, I mean, over the years, we've always just, kept in touch and hung out when we get the chance, and just have always, kept each other updated on our seasons. And this year, you've had a pretty crazy story, and one with history you've had with a deer.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to 2021, I think, that's the furthest back I can find trail camera pictures of this buck. And I almost want to say, though, that I think I saw him in 2020, COVID year. But I can't be for sure, but definitely, yeah, 2021.
So, and you've had encounters with them. I think was this the buck where he walked up behind you and was like within 10 yards? Because I remember you had
so that one. Yeah, so no, that one was on public. That was that's the one that took me. This one, I was looking actually back through some of our texts, and because I wanted to know the exact date. You and I were talking on October 31st. You had a good day in the stand. I think you had 2 or 3 shooter bucks come in on you real close.
Good.
Yeah.
And look at you.
That was yeah, I remember that. That was Texas Pokeland. It was Halloween, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a good day to be in the woods.
Yeah, it sure is.
I told you that there was a stand that I haven't hunted yet, or it's been years, because the biggest deer I ever saw or shot at out of that stand, I completely missed him. Just target panic, ripped it right over his back.
Right.
And he netted 168. And
ooh, that'll hurt.
Yeah. And then I see pictures of the neighbor with a deer. It's like, man, that deer looks really familiar. And it's like, oh, no kidding. Yeah. So I hadn't been in that stand since then. I was mad. Even before that one, I had missed 2 other bucks they would have been my biggest. They would have been upper 130s, low 140s type bucks. And I've missed 3 deer
out of that same stand.
Out of that same stand.
And
so it's always
stand.
Dang.
It's an awesome stand, right? It's an awesome stand, but knowing the kind of bad kind of juju that comes with it.
Yeah. Guarantee.
I'm like,
I'd be freaking out.
it's like, I'd much rather just see him in an open field 200 yards away and like, hey, that was cool. But anyway, you and I were talking about that, and then that's where I actually, the first time I ever saw the buck, real quick, it was my first hunt ever with a saddle, and it was actually a year-old saddle. And he came up behind me, and maybe that's what you're talking about. He came up behind me.
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
I saw his reflection in the pond.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, I mean, that was the first year I stopped filming. I didn't have my camera or nothing, but it was one of the prettiest pictures I'd seen. And so I guessed him at 3.5, and he was at, right about that 15 yards, like you said. And then I'm like, well, not really what I was looking for, but he's a good deer. And I could tell he was young. So he walks off, and then he stops broadside on the other side of the pond at 40 yards. And he looked even better over there. And because he's walking away, but 2, it's like, okay, he's going to be something. And haven't seen him until when was that? That would have been November 5th
of this year.
I'm back I'm back. I decide after you and I talked, I'm like, the wind was perfect. I love this area. You're essentially kind of creek bottom, and then a ridge that you're looking at. It's a big doe bedding area, and the bucks just cut the trails. Checking for them. They don't have to get up in that area. They can stay low. And I've always done. I've seen some nice deer, so that's where I decided to go. First time in, and I'm like reliving all of the mistakes that I've ever happened out of that. And I'm not seeing anything, and no does, nothing. So it's probably 9:15, something like that. And I look up and I can see a deer coming from the doe bedding area, and it's just kind of taking its time. It's facing me, and I can tell that, it's like shoulders are kind of broad. And I'm like, it's got to be a buck. And he picks his head up. And the one thing about this deer is he's got like a fawn spot in the middle of his face. And his muzzle is black. It's like a black stripe. And so it, in the woods, a white spot in the middle of something black, it sticks out. And I knew him as soon as I see it, I was like, no way that's him. And, so I'm like, heart is
just
like thumping at that point. Yeah. Looking out through my binoculars. So, he's probably within like 70 yards, and he is just taking his time. He's just eating. He's eating like sugar maple, like picking the green light leaves off of the briars, and all this. And so he starts to come down the hill, and I've had my bow in my hand. Once I realized it was him, I didn't need to keep looking at him through the binoculars because I knew what he was. And so he's kind of coming down this ridge, and then he kind of turns around and starts going back up, and he's flicking his tail as he's going. I'm like, well, that's cool. I guess I would have never guessed he'd be over here.
Yeah.
I've got his pictures are only coming from 2 spots, and it's on like a brushy fence row. And, it was just on a whim that he was over there. But, so he kind of turns back around and he comes back in. And so the whole time he's coming, and I'm obviously it's probably for him to move 5 yards, I bet it's taken 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's just
10 minutes.
he's just bunching away.
Yeah, no kidding. Feels like forever.
And I think I told you, I felt like I was in his bedroom because he was just, he didn't have a care in the world. He wasn't chasing does. It's November 5th. He wasn't chasing does. He wasn't, he didn't work. There was 2 scrapes that I could see, and he didn't care about either one of those. He was just eating. And so, he felt comfortable, and I just felt like that was where he was living, or close to.
Right.
And so anyway, he ends up coming in and out of the same area, not cutting more than 50 yards. And I had him quartering away at one point at 50, and he was, the head down, just eating. And I'm like, I know I can make that shot, but I just didn't. I knew this. He kind of was wanting to go a certain way, and I knew when he would because I'd missed 3 other deer before him out of that. When he gets to this one tree, it's 32 yards. And I was like, I would much rather want a 32-yard shot on this buck broadside than a 50-yard shot quartering away. Mm-hmm. And so when he turned around that last time, he went up, and I'm like, okay, he's going, forever now. And I hung my bow, kind of without making too much noise, but I definitely slammed it down on the bow holder. And
out of frustration,
out of frustration, I'm like, 50 yards quartering away, and knowing I can make the shot. Like, you only get so many opportunities, and I felt like I let that one go, even though I wanted a different shot. And so I was kind of pouting. But then I can remember, which is crazy, I said out loud, "What is the chance that he comes back?" And I kid you not, Eric, I couldn't finish the word or the sentence, and I could see the legs coming.
Whoa,
and so
I'm
turning in the I'm turning in the stand. That bow was ready, and now he's kind of coming with more of like a mission, going to that spot. He's not taking his time. He's moving real quick. And so I come to full draw because I know he was coming through, and stop him. And he kind of gets his head wrapped up, and there's a vine and some briars that were connected. Well, his antlers kind of get caught in it, and he's shaking this thing around. So when I grunt, mouth grunt him to stop, and I feel like I'm holding good, he's quartering to just a little bit. I let the arrow go, and it hits him high, and it like kind of kicks as it hit. Like the angle that I shot, my knock was like I, it was like facing the opposite way. It just hit weird. And I'm wondering if I didn't hit that vine swinging, or something, because it just didn't make sense. And this is the same arrow, a couple of years ago, I killed an elk on a 45-yard frontal, same shot.
Yeah.
And I got 27 inches of penetration on it. And I shoot an 1.5-inch sever, 2-blade mechanical. It's a 480 grain arrow. And this thing, it maybe got to the end of the ferrule of the broadhead.
Man.
And so then I send out the text like, hey man, I think you were the first one I texted.
Look at that.
I shot the buck that I've been wanting, and so yeah.
Yeah, I remember just being excited that you shot one. I was like, man, I hope he finds it, because I knew, like, it's been a few years since you've shot a good buck, right?
Yeah, especially with my bow. I mean, I shot a good one in 2021 with my muzzleloader. That was a fun hunt. But
that was fun.
It's been probably 4 years since I shot one with my bow.
Yeah. And so what happened after you shot, or you texted me? You probably waited a little bit then, huh?
I did. So I texted you, and then I texted, my father-in-law, and I said, hey, shot him. I don't think it's going to be good. I want to give him time. So I took my time getting down. We get back to the cabin or actually the house, and we're talking it over, and it just, I just knew it just didn't feel right. The way he ran away, seeing the arrow, I'm just like, man, hope, fingers crossed that something weird happened. And the more I thought, it's like, well, maybe I got more than what I did, and it just hit a bone and kind of bounced back, and my eyes couldn't pick it up. And so we waited about 3 hours, I think, and found blood right away. It was better in the beginning than I thought it was going to be. But it was, we covered, and it's probably 350 yards, probably, and it got to a point where the first 100 yards was really good blood. Not really good, but good blood. Better than I thought. And then after that 100 yards, it was like pin drops. And every, I don't know, 10 feet, 15 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
And
not a good
really, feeling. No. And never found my arrow. So we're coming up, and I can see the edge of the field. I basically shot him on one field edge, kind of, and he ran to this, or straight across. I shot him west of this block of timber, and he ran to the east side of it. And he was on the very edge. And as I'm coming up this ridge, at this point, I'm just trying to do a body, just to see if I can see him laying somewhere, or something. And because the blood stops, it just stopped.
Yeah.
And I get to the edge, man, and I see him stand up, and of course his rack is skylit, and it's just like, oh my gosh,
that'll make you want to throw up.
Just start thinking about that tree again, and
yeah, and wanted to pull my hair out, and he runs off, and he's not limping, he's not doing anything, runs off like a normal deer, like a healthy deer,
man.
And so I meet up with my father-in-law, and I was like, oh, did you see him? And he goes, no. I was like, well, he ran, he was running kind of your way. And he goes, I never did. It's super thick over where we were. But I said, he's looks fine,
Man.
And so that was it. So then that car ride, it's an hour and 15 minutes from the farm to my house.
Yeah.
There was no music playing. There was no, oh man,
just a terrible feeling. But a few weeks went by, and you went back out there.
The very
ahead.
next day, my wife's cousin was hunting a different part of the farm, and he goes, hey, was this buck? And he starts describing it, and I'm like, well, that sounds like him. I mean, there's, he's chocolate racked, white, like he's got a spot in the middle of his face, and all that. And he goes, dude, he's out eating in the clover. And he goes, he's limping a little bit, but he doesn't look bad.
Yeah.
And I said, cool, and I figured that was it. I was going to find him dead because I was going to look hard for sheds or if he for him, but I figured that was it. So then it's second Illinois shotgun season. Can't remember what day that was. December 2nd, I think, which was like a Saturday, and I only had a day, and so I hunted that same stand just out of like, man, hopefully he comes.
So were you using your shotgun or muzzleloader?
Muzzleloader. You can use. I can use my muzzleloader during the shotgun season.
Gotcha. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah. So I didn't see anything in the morning. Or no, I take that back. I passed a really nice 3-year-old, and had a few pictures of him, and it was. Yeah, actually, I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard to pass him, but I did. And the evening, I kind of was looking at my options, and I'm eating lunch, and I get to the spot where I think I'm going to go, and I'm eating lunch, just kind of hanging out. I didn't want to go back to the house and do all that because I knew I wanted to be out early, and I knew if I went to the house, I'd take a nap and take my time getting out.
Yeah.
Screw something up. So I'm looking at it. I'm getting all my gear together, and I'm getting ready. I'm like locking the Jeep, everything, and I'm like, notice the wind is like absolute. Couldn't be more wrong for this stand I'm going. But
it's a common theme.
There was we had a buck on camera that was coming out in daylight. So that's kind of why I was over there. It was warm, like 50 some. So this was another clover plot, and it's like, okay, well, that's my best bet. But then as I'm, like I said, I'm standing there, it's like, this is terrible. I mean, there's nothing. I blow everything out of the woods. So
yeah.
Last minute decision, I go to this spot, and it was actually one of the spots where I've been getting pictures of this buck all summer, and it's a cut cornfield. Stuff is still left in, and so I sat there, all afternoon, and I only saw it's coming at like 4:00, and at about that time, I think legal shooting time ends at 5, and about that time, I see a buck in the woods coming behind me, and then kind of just like skirt out of the way. I never really get a good look at him, and I'm like, well, that's going to be the only one I see. And so my wife texts me, and she says our son is throwing up every 15 minutes, and he's been sick before, but usually like a half hour to an hour, but like every 15 minutes, that's bad. So yeah. I'm like, I'm just gonna get down. It was fun. I got to see a nice buck, and I was out the farm by myself. Just kind of, those days are kind of nice,
Yeah, right.
I like hunting with people, but it's also nice to hunt by yourself.
Yep, it is.
And so, I'm getting everything lowered, and I'm walking out, so there's still plenty of light. We're talking like a half hour, and as I'm coming to this edge, I can see a deer with his head down. He's kind of behind a little hill. It's kind of like it's not a super flat field. There's some topography to it, and he's on the back side of this. And so I put my gun down and, actually slide my backpack off because like I said, I was irritated, but, whatever. And I'm looking, and he picks his head up, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice buck. And I'm looking, and it's like he's standing in the middle of this field, and I've got the wind in my favor. And I'm like, what's it going to hurt? I'm either going to get a chance or I'm going to mess this up real bad. And it's the only deer in the field, so I am going. And so as soon as he puts his head down, I think I take a layer off. I'm in the woods looking at him. I'm not out in the open. I take a layer off, bag down, and I get on my hands and knees, and I'm like, crawling, putting the gun out in front of me, taking a couple steps, or crawling, a couple feet, and then sliding it. And I was thinking he was probably 250 yards in this field ish. And I notice at one point I can see the tines coming over this hill, and I'm like, dang it. Now, so I get ready and I pull a hammer back on the muzzleloader and I'm looking, and the first shot he gives me, I'm taking. But then I kind of see him, stop, and I never see his head. I just see the tips of him, and then turn around and start going downhill. So I, put the hammer back down, and I get up and I sprint as fast as I can.
You do the K.C. Smith thing.
Just run right at him.
Where you're like crouched over, like throwing your back out, kind of.
Dude, that is the worst pain you'll feel in the woods trying to do that.
Oh man, yeah, and binoculars bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
Looking like a dude. And so I stand up, and he's quartering away. I stand up, hammer back, and I'm looking. And I also zoom. My scope is like 3 to 7 or something like that, so it's in all the way. I couldn't hold steady on him for nothing, and I'm starting to squeeze, and I'm like, eventually, it's like I'm gonna try to do a surprise shot and it's gonna break where I want it to, but I'm like, dude, there is no way. So I let it down and I'm looking at him, and he starts kind of walking away. He never sees me, so I take that time, I get back down on my hands and knees, and I cover another probably 30 yards. So at this point, I think I ranged him later. He was about 60 yards. And so then before I stand up, I'm taking deep breaths just to calm myself. And I just kind of ease up, and I wrap my hand through the sling, hammer back, looking at him. And I keep drifting left and right. So I'm going into his neck, then back to his butt. And then as it's coming back, I squeeze. And of course, muzzleloader, it's just all, powder. It's just all smoke.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then so I'm looking, like, as soon as I shoot, as soon as it breaks, I'm looking left and right, because I'm thinking he's going to either go to this pond or he's going back to the woods. Smoke clears, and I'm like, what in the heck? Because
That's muzzleloader hunting. It's like
I'm
the
like,
biggest surprise of what's going on.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't see anything, and I'm like, I take a couple steps and I'm like, oh wait, there's that looks like a belly, but it could be a corn stalk, and I'm walking up, a little bit more, and I'm like, dang, no way. And so, it's just like a deer, and I knew it was like, it's a good deer.
Yeah.
And I think I texted you. I hadn't even got to him yet, and I think, or I texted somebody, and I was just sending them pictures as I got closer of just a white belly. And I think it was actually my father-in-law, and he goes, "What am I supposed to be looking at?" And I said, "Pinch and zoom," and that's all I kept saying. Well, I get to about 30 yards from him, and or something like that, and I've looked at enough of his trail camera pictures that his one side is a 4-point side, and I just immediately, like 100%, and I like, there is no way that is him. And so I haven't even got up onto him yet, and so I walk around to the back side, and in the top of one of his shoulders, I can see a hole and pus coming out.
Dadgummit.
And I was like, oh my God. I like never had that kind of feeling like that. As far as like redemption or anything, the most, I guess, successful I've ever felt, is when I shot my elk. That's something I've always wanted to do as a kid.
Yeah.
Elk was like, man, I might only get one chance to do it. And I figured it was through an outfitter. And when I got him, it just would have never guessed. But this one felt different, just because, I know I texted you, and I don't want it to sound bad, but I felt when he came in, that first time I had the experience with him, and I shot him at him, hit him with my bow. I was like, I said, I felt like I was meant to get him,
Yeah, for sure.
Which is it's weird to say, but dude, I don't ever get chances at redos with hardly anything.
Yeah.
Life, or let alone hunting, I never, I don't know how many deer that I've hunted, at the farm, I've showed you pictures of them. And the neighbor ends up getting them, and I'm always happy. I love people. I love seeing the deer that I'm chasing, but man, this one, just everything about it is like it was meant to be some way. I don't know why.
Just man,
that one.
It was a grace from God for sure. I mean, what a crazy story.
Yeah, and man, so yeah, he's 9 points. Super, like his mass is awesome throughout. His 20 and 3/8 on one beam, 21 and 3/8 on the other. He's super symmetrical. I actually taped him last night, and he was low 140s.
Yeah.
Oh, he
like
was
140
for sure.
something.
Dude, like you said, he's got that chocolate rack too. It's a good looking buck.
Yeah.
Have you posted it on your Instagram yet?
No, I haven't. Just because I don't know why. I was actually kind of mad that I didn't have. I mean, all the pictures that I have, like the recovery photos. Man, I was out there by myself. I didn't have my big camera.
Yep.
No tripod. I'm sticking my phone in one of the pockets of my backpack, and then like setting like a timer. And like running around behind him to hold him up. So
yeah.
I will though. I'll post the picture.
So if you guys want to see pictures of that, go follow Chris. He was a C_Carter_21, something like that.
That's who that is. I see comments on the element from time to time.
But man,
that's it.
Thanks for coming on here though and sharing that story with us,
what a
man.
story.
It's
Congrats,
crazy.
Man.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate being on. I've talked about this deer a lot, and man, I hope to do it again next one I shoot.
For sure, man. Again, congrats.
Thanks, dude.
Well, that was a crazy story, like I said. And hopefully we'll be doing more of these next year. So if you guys like it,
Wait. Before we end this, there's a thing a lot of Texans don't understand. And it's something I really want to emphasize that.
What's that?
Chris talked about a little bit. When you shoot that muzzleloader and the smoke covers up the deer, you will never feel your eyes going like side to side, just like, where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going?
Yeah, I know nothing about that.
Dude,
in Texas, I think there's some muzzleloader seasons, some in East Texas or something, but dude, it's been rifle hunting.
Yeah, why wouldn't you use a high
I ain't using a muzzleloader.
There's
in Texas.
no reason to, but like it is seriously like it's probably a good 3 or 4 seconds that you are just like your heart is just like, what's going on? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It is so awesome.
Let me ask you this: when's Ohio's muzzleloader season?
That's a great question.
Do you need to be doing this?
I believe it's the first week of January, and I may.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I may just have the boomstick out in Ohio, trying to chase some permission deer.
I think you should do it.
I might have a plan already.
Sweet. But like I said earlier, Greg has a video out right now, so be sure to go check that out.
Yeah, there's lots of bucks in that video.
Yeah, dude.
For whatever reason, I got to hunt like the best days of the year at that property.
That's the good thing about having 3 camera guys and 2 guys who hunt like mainly.
Yeah,
because
one can be hunting and making some content.
Exactly.
But the season's not over yet. They got a trip ahead of them, and then we may have some more hunting to do after the new year. So
January/February
it ain't over yet.
Hunting to do.
We might have to go back to the deer leads. I've seen some bucks on camera.
I know, for
popping
real.
up.
If we don't have another whitetail bums before Christmas, though, hopefully everyone has a good Christmas and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
We'll see you next time.
See you.
The new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook Wild Game Recipes for the Grill, Smoker, Campfire, and Camp Stove is out on April 24th and is available for pre-order now. Here is your book for everything that's best cooked or eaten outside. From grilling to open fire cooking to Dutch ovens to smokers to barbecue to backpacking meals to how to pull off the perfect fish fry, with pit stops along the way for lessons about Ice Age cooking methods and the best 5 ways to construct a cooking fire you can be proud of. And of course, we're focusing on wild game and fish here with over 100 recipes, including stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, wild duck with ahi verde sauce, a jerky made with cola, a gin and tonic made with fire-charred lemons, and grilled frog legs made with a sticky sweet sauce. This ain't your normal cookbook, so be prepared to be surprised. Pre-order your copy now. For more info, visit themeateater.com.